When we get back to Regensburg in 3 days, it's sure going to feel different with our families gone. Everybody's going to be awfully lonely." "Everybody except Ramirez," Jensen said. "He's never lonely." "How many Fräuleins is he presently engaged to?" "It changes from day to day," Marconi said. "Last count I heard was 6, give or take 1 or 2. "Yep, Ramirez won't be lonely," Foster said. "If there's an attractive woman within 500 miles, Ramirez will find her." "No doubt about it. Our little Ramirez is destined to be killed by an irate husband someday," Jensen said. "If he doesn't fall out of one of the towers first. That would sure disappoint the Fräuleins in Regensburg," Marconi added. "You know, I'll bet our wives are back in the States right now, warm and cozy by the fire while the grandparents spoil the kids," Foster said. "I'm sure my folks were waiting at the airport in Des Moines when Becky and the kids arrived. This'll be the first time they've seen the baby." The short journey reached its end. A few feet from the low-lying building, the platoon sergeant's Humvee eased to a stop between Lieutenant Powers's Humvee and the platoon's 5 remaining Bradley fighting vehicles. The armored vehicles sat in the darkness beneath a foot of newly fallen powder. To the uninitiated, the platoon's fighting vehicles could have been mistaken for tanks. Although they tipped the scales at nearly 25 tons, that was only half a tank's weight. Nevertheless, with the Bradley's thick steel treads, tank-like shape, and full body armor, such a misidentification could easily occur. Yet the one recognizable feature that distinguished a Bradley fighting vehicle from a tank was the size and shape of its main gun. While the American primary battle tank, the M1 Abrams, had a huge 120mm cannon, the Bradley's was significantly smaller. The 25mm Bushmaster chain gun was extremely thin. Even so, with its armor-piercing Bushmaster and array of tow missiles, the Americans' Bradley fighting vehicles had proven capable in more than one war of standing up to even the most menacing enemy tank. The trio shook the snow from about their heads and headed toward the ancient building. A wave of moist heat greeted them as they entered the smaller of a pair of rooms. The drafty building was dank and gave off a distinctive odor from the thousands of cavalry soldiers who'd called it their temporary home over the years. A chorus of animated voices resounded from deeper within the old structure. Foster and Marconi passed through the anteroom that served as the platoon's operations center. Jensen paused. Gregory Powers sat at a tired metal desk in the far corner. The blonde-haired, blue-eyed second lieutenant was fiddling with the pipe he'd adopted when he took command of the platoon 8 weeks earlier. The pipe was an attempt to give himself an air of authority. He seldom smoked the ordinary-looking pipe, but he played with it constantly. Powers, having finished the easier task of changing the shifts in the 3 Bradleys, had been sitting at the desk for the past 20 minutes. Against the wall nearest the door, the platoon radio operator, specialist for Aaron Jaluski, sat reading a comic book. On the table in front of Jaluski was a pair of military radios. The first was tuned to the squadron frequency. The other dials were set to connect the platoon command post with the Bradleys, Humvees, and guard towers. Jaluski looked up as Jensen entered. "Anything going on?" Jensen asked. "Not much. Lots of talk on the squadron net about how busy Comrade is tonight. But nothing compared to what I heard you and Brownie discussing a few minutes ago." "Yeah. When a Russian general's willing to chance rushing the wire like that, something's definitely up. One thing's certain. You've got to have a death wish playing division-level war games in the middle of a blizzard." "You've got that right, Sarge. Except Squadron says it's not just the division in front of us that's involved. Apparently, across the 50-mile 1st Squadron area, there are 10 Russian divisions racing around like madmen in the snow. And over the 150 miles of the American sector, there are twice that many. The British up north are reporting the same kind of activity." "Squadron have any further information on what the Russians are up to?" "Nothing more than what they've been telling us for the past 2 weeks. This is still officially a war game the Russians are conducting to test their ability to defend Eastern Europe during winter. We're to stay alert but avoid confrontation with them at all costs."